Welcome to the Champion Blueprint Podcast, where mindset meets mission.
We're diving into what it really takes to lead, win, and live with purpose.
From NFL locker rooms to boardrooms, it's all about discipline, core values, and the habits that build champions.
Whether you're leveling up in business, life, or leadership, this is your playbook.
Champion your mindset.
Champion your purpose.
Let's go.
Welcome back once again, Champion the Blueprint Podcast. George Rogers, as always, the man, the myth, Super Bowl champion, Coach MVP. On the defensive side for me, good friend Gary.
Yes, sir.
B for Brackett. You know, you gotta get it.
B.
Start Gary B.
We just heard a Timothy Hernandez song, so we're both, kind of here vibes.
Yeah, we got some vibes. One of these days, Gary, we just got to freestyle. I don't even know, just kick it out something.
Yeah.
But because I am aware of the signs, I know my role. And I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately, some people miss the signs, Gary. That's really what we're gonna be talking about today. Is how often as leaders, and it amazes me that we could be at times, and I say we because I'm a leader, and sometimes I miss the signs, we miss the signals.
Yeah.
And this is something that I want to say we're not going to be relationship experts.
No.
As I said in episode 1 back in August, we're going to cover all the ships. We're going to cover business ship, friendships, marriage ships, and all those things. But sometimes in life we can miss signs, right? In relationship, friendship that you and I have. Sometimes you're going through something and you look different, you're acting a little bit different. Yeah. But I still don't say, "Hey, Gary, what's going on?"
Yeah.
What's something that's different about you? Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to ignore it?
Right.
Is it not now, right? But oftentimes as leaders, we miss signs as leaders, and we miss that awareness. Mm-hmm. And it's so important for us to really understand not just ourselves, because sometimes we miss the signs in ourselves. We don't see the signs and the signals of being burnt out or missing opportunities or learning, as you said in the previous episode, the most powerful 2-letter word, no, right?
Nope.
But how do you feel? Like, was there ever a time where you feel like in any type of ship you were in, like you missed a sign?
Yeah, without a question. I think just recently, friendship.
Yeah.
You talk about mental health. Last year I lost a very close friend, one of my son's best friend's father. And, he was struggling for a little while. We talked, and it just 1 week, things kind of got, out of control. And, all of a sudden, he's not here anymore. And it was like one of those things like, man, like where that, it was like, I see him again. I talk to him then.
Yeah.
Right. And I think so often, you missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Sometimes don't come back around.
Yeah. It's true.
So, in business, leadership, there's some situations that happen at work where things weren't addressed or something was misinterpreted a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Or, you're joking. I have a sarcastic tone, right?
Yeah.
So I say something sarcastic and it's just like, was he serious?
Yeah.
It was just like, you think everyone knows you're playing, but sometimes you're not. So I think there's a lot of things over time that I picked up and just more conscious of, just as a leader.
And to your point, it's not necessarily, especially in business, it's not necessarily a lack of talent that we miss. Mm-hmm. It's taking the time. We talk about time management in our previous episode and priority management. And we always feel like we have that next time. I'm gonna make a call, or I'm gonna deal with the issue when I see them next, or it wasn't the right time. There's never really, I've never met the perfect time to do the right thing.
Right.
Right. Like the right time to do the right thing is always at that moment. It's never later, Paul, because you never know. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us.
Yep.
And we don't know what we're going through. And it always reminded me of something that was drilled into my head is, George, stop asking people how they're doing if you really don't want to sit and listen to them. Because we get into that mindset, Gary, where it's like, hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah.
Good. No, like, seriously, how are you? Like, I want to know how you really, like, how are you doing?
Nah.
Like, going in the office, you're working, you're like, hey, how you doing? Good.
You just keep moving.
And you just keep moving. You don't stop. You ask a question, you just keep on going.
Sometimes people are like, I'm terrible. I'm like,
Yeah.
You're like, no, I really that was terrible. And you kept going.
Man, it reminds me of this story. I kid you not. And I'm going to say this. Shout out to Brad Sheets. I remember I was in my youth pastor days. I was a youth pastor. And there was this kid, I was doing an internship, and we're down in Mississippi. And me and my buddy Brad, we were walking from the church down to our youth facility. It was down a little bit further. We had our own little area. And one of the kids came up to us and like we were just when we were locked in, it's like game mode. Like there's you get into us like people should know like, hey, before a game, if I have my headphones on, whatever that pregame ritual was for us, we had like a walk that we do, and we were just locked in. Yeah. And so if you said something to us, that's cool.
Yeah.
And Brad had this, that's cool. That was like his favorite line. Like everything was cool.
Right.
And we had a youth student come to us, and we were kind of locked in, getting ready to go down to the youth facility, make sure everything's good, pre-service stuff. And kids are showing up. Our early leadership team was showing up, and the young kid walked up to us and let us know they had a family member that died. And because we were so locked in our moment, Brad's words was, "That's cool," and we just kept walking. And I remember like it was like peace.
Oh no.
And I'm realizing he just said, "That's cool." And this kid just lost a family member. And it wasn't until like, it was like, "Hey, Brad, did you hear what he said?" And we just so get caught up in our world. And I share the story. Brad is much better at this now. I hope.
Shout out to Brad.
But at that moment, it was like we get so caught up in what we're doing and focused and locked in that sometimes we miss those moments even, right? Those signs where we're locked into something that we need to really give time to. And so I want to dig right into it because I want to maximize this time on what are some signs. When I think about some signs that, as I mentioned, that you can be aware of, that you can address, the type of signs, especially in business, right? When you think about business, some of the signs that leaders face or don't see when it comes to some of these words. What are some things that kind of point up to you?
Yeah, I think like to your point, the type of signs, whether it's performance related, whether it's culture related, whether it's personal related, there's different type of thing that you should be on the lookout for. And sometimes our three are intertwined because something happened culturally, affected someone personally, and now it's going to affect their performance. So it's just like sometimes it's like one of those cause and effect type of things. But generally, I think as a leader, I always understood that people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. So getting to know someone on a personal level, hey, what you do last weekend? Hey, what's going on? Hey, your daughter had a game, how'd she do? Right, people love talking about their kids. And it just tell you a lot about them. So I think having those type of conversations with people can at least just kind of check their temperature on how they're feeling. And I think that's important because if someone is off or you answer me a short question, the next question is like, hey man, is everything okay?
Right.
And I've learned this going to a therapist, and everyone needs a little couch time.
Can I pause this real quick? Because I think this is important. For one, Black men in general, it is okay to get some coaching, some counseling, some therapy. It's important. Like it's so, as you mentioned, you shared a very vulnerable story earlier with a close friend of yours that you lost. I think it's important. I want to celebrate that and highlight that because so many times we don't hear enough that, hey, it's okay for men to go through therapy and get some help. It ain't nothing soft about it. It ain't nothing sensitive about it. It's something that we should all do, especially if needed. Sorry to cut you off. But
no problem. I
appreciate you sharing that.
I've always
the truth.
I've told people that you get help not because you're weak, it's because you want to remain strong.
Right.
So during the session, I would just, sharing, vulnerabilities with them and they're giving me some feedback and some coaching. And they told me something like when you're in conversation with something, I'm like a problem solver.
Yeah.
Like I love it. I can't turn it off. And I'm a business coach. So when someone's talking to me in my mind, I'm already thinking like, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do that. I can help you out do this. But then sometimes people don't want you to solve their problems. They don't even want your feedback, right? They just want to vent. So one of the things I've learned to ask is like clarifying questions like, all right, before you share what you're about to share, would you like some feedback from me? Like you want help solving this problem? Or you just need somebody to sit here and listen to you?
That's so important. So you're establishing the foundation of what desired outcomes they want. And that's key. I always say this because especially in the business world, so many people go to their leaders or even a friend or a mentor, and everybody just thinks that they need a response. Sometimes people don't want to be fixed. And I'll say this, a lot of people don't want to be fixed. They just want to be heard. People want to be heard. Like not everybody wants to be fixed. Some people just want to be heard. Like if we can just pause, and sometimes it's not anything that you can say that's going to matter to me. It's the fact that Gary sat down and took his greatest resource, his time, to listen to me.
Man,
I just want to be heard. Don't try to fix me. Just hear me. and be there for me. And then at the end, as you said, what do you want from me? Do you want some advice, or am I here just for ear?
Yeah.
Right?
It's so good. It's just like I'm learning, like even with like you get into these arguments or discussions now with people. And before, you learn in school persuasive writing, persuasive speech.
Yep.
Like, I'm gonna convince you that my way is the best way.
Right.
And that's typically how people argue and communicate, as opposed to say, no, I'm just giving you context. I just want to be heard on what you think what I think is the best solution, and you can share yours, and then we agree on what's the best.
Exactly.
Might not be either one of ours, right? But it's okay to do that. But I think recognizing the signs and is important, but there's a lot of times they go unrecognized and they get ignored.
Yeah. And so some of those signs, as you said, performance, right? Performance signs, declining results, missed deadlines, disengaged teams. You talked about the culture signs. You got toxic behavior.
Yeah.
Lack of alignment. People feel a certain way about the company because their leader made them feel some way, and how they feel determines how they believe, and what they believe is going to become the outcome of their behavior and things of that nature. And then you have personal signs. We're human. Sometimes we get burned out. Sometimes there's health warnings. Sometimes there's family that weighs on you, that family neglection that some people deal with. And so you always have those things. For me, it's why leaders ignore the signs that becomes the things like these are some signs that we ignore that we should see. But then there's people sometimes as leaders is like, you're so confident in who you are that you deny the fact and the reality of what everything actually is. And so because I'm so good, it's impossible for people to feel like I'm a friendly person. Every leader I know says I'm approachable.
Yeah.
I'm approachable. I don't know. I got an open door policy. But maybe somebody doesn't come to you because when they walk out, it's always their fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or maybe people don't come to you because it's your way or the highway. There's no other options. Yeah. And so you have that busyness, right? We ignore signs because we're too busy, or there's fear of confrontation. And like I said, sometimes it's just the ego that people feel like, man, my leaders aren't showing up for me, or my friends not showing up for me, and I don't want to deal with it.
It's crazy. From a coaching standpoint, I always feel like, and even from a teacher standpoint, if one person doesn't get it, I can say it's on them.
Yeah.
But more than 3 people don't get it or do something right, that has to be on me.
Yeah, something's got to change.
I have to find a better way to read the signs, to read the room,
Yeah.
identify like what's that missing link, and then kind of communicate it effectively so I could get, the job, better accomplished.
Yeah. And so some of those real life, I think about, like, I always trying to tie in real life examples, whether it's, with your sports in the locker room, the division.
Yep.
I think about some of the things, like I wish I was there a few years ago when Antonio Brown just decided to quit. like what was it that caused that division, right? That just like that was a moment. I think about like Terrell Owens, one of my favorite. I'm thinking of funny spots where Terrell Owens is in the parking lot, or in his driveway when he's with the Eagles, working out, right? Right. There's always different things that we should be aware of. Like, hey, people are going through. And then I think about it in the business standpoint. Had employee always showed up early, and all of a sudden after an annual review or the lack thereof for some companies, they're just on time. We talked about being on time and that priority. There's always these real life examples that I'm always like, all right, what is missing in the gap to get all these things together? What are some ways to, once you identify that there is some things, once the leader's made aware, Gary, once you're made aware of something, like you missed some signs here.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the family, whether it's in the business, in the life, like what do you go to, like when you realize that and recognize that? Because some of the gaps for me is we don't know our people well enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's we don't know their communication language, right? We talk about love languages. There's communication languages as well. What is it that you do once you realize, oh, I missed this. I missed the sign, and now that I'm aware of the sign,
right,
this is a step I'm taking.
I just had this conversation the other day when one of my players was doing something to show that he didn't care, right? And I wanted to communicate him that I recognized it, and I wanted to confront it and figure it out. I was like, hey man, help me out with this. The story I'm telling myself in my head with the actions I'm seeing is that you don't care and you're being selfish and that you don't want to be a part of this team anymore.
Yeah.
Can you help me out? Is that true at all?
Yeah.
And then someone can quickly say, well, I feel this type of way. And I can like I can give opportunity. Like, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the case in that one, right? He was dealing with some family issues, some personal stuff
Right.
that made his attitude change at work. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I definitely respect that. But I talked to him about compartmentalizing,
Mhm.
right? And when you go into this field, some of those outside stuff has to stay outside. And like a lot of times at work, it's like, I understand that we're human, we're gonna bring some of that inside, but we have an assignment to get done.
Yeah.
We gotta lock in and get this done. So I think we had a great conversation. I think he's learned to grow from it, and I did as well. Just like because before I was just like, oh no, he's checked out. Let's move on,
Yeah.
right? And I wouldn't even check in on the coach. Like I'll miss the sign and not even use it as opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So I think getting better at that and having those type of tough conversations and just putting something out there, the
Yeah.
elephant in the room, as they like to call it, right? Like
Yep.
just calling it what it is.
Yeah. The whole listening actively is important.
Mm.
And that's what I'm hearing from you is like, listen actively. And by doing so, I'm not just listening to the person.
Right.
I'm listening to the problem
Yeah.
that they perceive they may have with me or just in general. So what is that problem that they have with me? What is it that I can do? Right. And then it goes back to what you said earlier, Gary. Am I here to fix this situation? Or am I here to just hear this situation? What do you want from me on this aspect? And so the recognition of the issue and the response of the issue is so key. And so you listen actively, and then the next step is creating feedback loops. How do I create some feedback to where, as much as I say the door is always open, that they understand that there's some accountability here. Call me out, bring an issue to me, make me aware, right? Make this sign so obvious that I cannot miss it, and put it on the front plate where we can address those issues. And so if I'm listening to acting, we're creating those feedback loops. For me, I've learned to just address it early.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. You can ask anybody that was in my life from 2010 prior to, right? So that's a couple of years of marriage. That's business. I did everything I could to avoid confrontation. Because we had that, that old past life where we wanted to please.
Yeah, yeah.
And so especially if somebody was in the wrong, like I was just like, all right, whatever. It's on me. How can I make this not happen again?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. How can I make sure they're comfortable so that I'm not uncomfortable? In the long term, I'm uncomfortable and I'm pulling away.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm creating a gap. And so addressing it early and establishing your desired outcomes, like what is it that you need? What makes it uncomfortable? And addressing and communicating. At the end of the day, I always say communication is a key.
Always.
And understanding those things. And then the last one is, for me, was building accountability partners.
Yeah.
Having people around you to help you, right?
And this is the key here, right?
Yeah.
You can't build accountability partners and then be upset when they hold you accountable.
Say it again.
Right? You can't have accountability partners and then get upset when they hold you accountable.
Yep.
Right? It's like it's a story like a guy's out on vacation and he's having problems with his wife and he's trying to like mess with someone else and his best man is like, what are you doing? Like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I paid a lot of money to go in your way. We're gonna fix this back at home, right? And having those type of people in your life is like vital because it's just critical and iron sharpens iron, and just having people that's gonna call you out and is gonna get you back on the right track.
Yeah. Some of the things that I take away, and we always like to give some takeaways. So I want to add to it. After you're noticing some of these signs, right? You talk about how we're missing, and we're early signs is in the performance. Sometimes it's in the culture. Yeah. Sometimes it's in the personal signs like that we see. Are they burnt out? Is there some family? Is there some health issues? We talked about those things and why we ignore the signs, right? Sometimes it's denial. Sometimes it's optimist bias, right? Yeah. And then there's some busyness, some fear of confrontation. There's some egos that's tied to that.
Right.
But really, for me, I think about 3 questions every leader should ask weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, what signs am I seeing in my team's energy and results? Mm-hmm. Right? Every week. When we talked about prioritization last week and how you prioritize, one of those self-awareness type deal, like self-leadership and those things, like what are the outcomes of my team and my leadership? How often, I say weekly, but how often do you think that that's of value when it comes to making sure that your team is a good fit? Like, hey, we're making sure that in this huddle, we're all locked in. At the end of the day, I got to trust my brother on my left and my right, in front of me, behind me to do their job, right? So that we can make sure that this well-oiled train is moving in the right direction and at full force to be able to accomplish the goals and the desires that we have. And so we got to make sure that we are it's almost in that term of inspect what you expect.
Yeah.
And make sure that's there. How often are you checking energy in the room? I know you're coaching your son's football team. Like, is that a daily? Is that a weekly? Is that, hey?
It's a daily thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why it's so important to have KPIs and things that you can measure. Because I always say, if you can measure it, you can manage it.
Yeah.
So when you talk about,
I love that. If you can measure it, say it again.
Yeah. If you can measure it, you can manage it.
Love it.
Right. So then, we're gonna have a discussion today, right? About the turnover. Every game we want to have a +2 turnover ratio. So we got 2 more turnovers than the other team. Typically in football, if you have more turnovers than the other team, you lose those games. Right. So it's just like those type of measurements help me communicate like why these are important and what I'm noticing that's not getting done consistently at practice that's leading to the results in the game.
Yeah.
So I think it's like tying those things together. I think it helps people, with their energy and kind of, feel included and help them not miss the signs that you're trying to get across as well.
Yep. So first question every leader should ask themselves is, what's the sign? What signs am I seeing in the energy and results in my team? The second one that I really like to do is, what am I noticing in myself? It's, for me, I almost want to switch these two because I got to figure out about myself first before I check on my team. But the second thing, like, what's the energy? Where am I at mentally? Where am I at emotionally? How am I, my mindset? What's my mindset like right now? What's my relationship situation? Like, is any of that tying into the energy that I'm bringing to the table?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we treat others like with that neglect because how we treat ourselves. Like, we don't love ourselves enough. We don't show ourselves enough grace. And so it's like, man, I don't care about this right now. I'm gonna get my job done. I always call it the check the box people. Like, when they're mentally checked out on themselves, they're just checking the box on everything else.
Yeah.
Like, get the job done, and it is what it is. But it's so important to really check in on yourself.
Man, I've learned that you can only love others, respect others to the extent that you love and respect yourself.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times when I feel the disrespect or I feel someone's energy is off, I'm like, they're having internal conflict issues because it's not characteristic of their behavior.
Yeah.
Like, something's going on internally for them to lash out and take that on me.
Yeah.
A lot of times I don't think it's personal, right? Because I think it's a battle with you.
Yeah.
I know I didn't do anything that kind of upset you. And if I did, we can have a communication about it. But
let's talk about it.
Yeah, but you keep coming at me like this. You got something that you're facing that, you need to take care of.
Yep. And the third one is key as well, is what signs am I ignoring because they're uncomfortable? And this is one of the things that becomes a struggle, right? Like, we ignore them because we don't feel comfortable. It's not a strength. Or for me, earlier on in my life, I ignored things, not just because they were uncomfortable, but they were also uncontrollable. If I can control the outcome, if I didn't know the outcome, that made me uncomfortable. And so it's easy just to know I'm comfortable in this frustration, I'm comfortable in this depression, I'm comfortable feeling alone versus trying to deal with why, and I don't know the outcome afterwards because I don't want to feel more alone by addressing it than I do right now. Like, I feel good, manageable, although I'm draining and I'm burning out or I'm mentally not there healthy-wise. But checking in with yourself and then also taking that faith to say, hey, listen, this is an uncomfortable situation. What do I need to do to address the uncomfortableness? And what is it?
I think for me, and we're only experts in ourselves, right? We gave the
that's right. This is self-expertise.
we gave the disclaimer in the front. But I think because of being a recovery people pleaser and you want that result to be positive. There's an issue in your mind, you have a solution that you want to come to, and you address that issue, and it doesn't get to that solution, you feel very uncomfortable. You feel bothered. Or sometimes I feel like I'm not as effective as I think I am as a coach or a leader, right? Because when you pick up a sign, you might adjust the sign, and that sign might still be there. Right? And you're uncomfortable. Like, I know I should have, no, you should have still said something. You should have still picked up on it and addressed it. And it's not always going to go your way. And that's okay. And I learned this and it released me, is that, like, everyone and everything is not your assignment.
It's good.
And before, I would take ownership of things, of people, of relationships. And I'd be like, no, it's up to me to get the, but sometimes it's just like, somebody wants to burn that bridge. It's okay. I release them with love. right? I don't have to match their energy. I don't have to do the things that they're doing, but I also don't have to entertain, what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very powerful stance where recognizing signs, recognizing yourself, and just get into a situation where, hey, I addressed it. I did my part.
Yeah.
It didn't go as I wanted it to go, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I could live with that result because, I brought up what I couldn't live with, and when I agreed to myself that I would never live with it again, is not addressing the sign and just internally dealing with it.
Yeah.
Right? That's not okay either.
I'm over here thinking, because there's so many different things when it comes to like the awareness and the action part of it.
Yeah.
It's like you want to be aware of the signs.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's as a leader and an individual, especially in the personal life, friendships and relationships, is it a priority? In a sense, not necessarily that the person is not a priority to you,
right,
but what's the priority of this relationship? Because you can be in a situation where outside, I'm not talking life, or I'm not talking work, I'm talking about just life in general, where sometimes you have a friendship. I like to call them, like this is just somebody, like a friend. It's not even a friend, it's associate is the word I'm looking. This is an associateship.
Yeah.
Like you haven't made it into the friendship bubble. We just associate. We're in the same circle of some people and we just associate with people. Is that you got to be able to, one, we're not saying everything is something you need to be aware of, because there's some signs of just those people who are associates that just breathe drama.
Yeah.
Just breathe negativity. And you got to be able to associate whether or not this is in line with who you are and what you want to do. Do you need to deal with it? Because not every problem is your problem.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Now, work, if you're a leader,
it's
a problem you got to address. And I think the key for everybody is that leaders who pay attention and are aware of the signs and address the signs, don't ignore them. Don't try to think your ego is like deny those situations. When you address the situations, I think those who address the signs, they not only just avoid failure,
right,
but they set themselves up for success and their team set for success. And I think that's the key. When you want to champion yourself, champion your purpose, and champion your mindset, you got to be able to champion tough conversations.
Yeah.
And don't just ignore the signs. So we want to make you aware of them again. When you see signs that we face, whether it's in performance, whether it's in culture signs, whether it's personal, don't just ignore them.
Yeah.
Identify what they are. Align what's the purpose of, what's the outcome that could be or should be. Is this personal or is this business, right? Because sometimes I may come to you and we're working together and it could be work, but it could be a personal shot at you more than it is because you got the title, right? I want to take a shot at you because you are where I want to be in this business and you ain't going nowhere. So sometimes the last line of defense for some people's accusations, you got to be able to have that balance out for everybody. And so want to make sure that you're not missing the signs. I want to encourage everybody. Gary, any last words as we wrap up?
The one thing about the confrontation, and I use this sometimes when I'm speaking, is back in the day, right, way back, 2003, and on the kickoff team, we would run down on a kickoff return team. They used to have these wedges, and there was typically 3 offensive linemen, average of 300 pounds, that held hands together. Right? Remember these days? And would run, and the kickoff return will be right behind these guys. And my job, right, it was a dumb job. But my job was to run down there and break the wedge.
It's like Red Rover, send Gary Brackett over.
Right? It was just like, bro, what? And then we would get points, right, and bonuses if we took them all 3 out.
Oh, man.
So we would try to do, it was called a horizontal mambo. You try to run down there and leg flap and like take everyone out and sacrifice yourself for the team, right? Again, a dumb job. Like it doesn't even exist anymore. Player safety rules, they took it out, right? But one game, my first year, I never forget it, actually the first game of the year against Cleveland Browns, I went down there and hit it, right? Took out like 2 of them, teammate made a tackle, and they drove down there and they missed a field goal, and then we won the game, I think like 9-6. And everyone in practice, during film study, was like, good game. We just squeaked it out. And coach showed that play, and someone made a tackle. But then he says, "Look at 58. Look what he does to sacrifice for his teammate." He's like, because his willingness to hit the wedge, we stopped them on the 18-yard line instead of the 28-yard line, and they missed a 6-yard they missed the field goal by 6 yards.
Yeah.
And that's the 6 yards that they were to miss. And I just took that in life to just like, man, don't be afraid to hit the wedge.
Yeah.
Like that might be a
That's
tough
good.
conversation.
Yeah.
Right? That might be an uncomfortable word that has to be said, but just don't be afraid to hit the wedge. There's usually success after that.
It's so good. It's a perfect way to end this episode, man. Be willing to hit the wedge.
Yes.
Whatever that difficult situation is, whatever that difficult conversation has to be, can't be afraid of the moment.
No.
Because there's so much about healing and getting those outcomes afterwards when you get it off your chest.
Yeah.
And you can, I remember as a kid, you could just hug it out, right? You have a frustrating moment and parents just make you hug afterwards and you go away mad and then 10 minutes later, you're back out there on the playground doing it up. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Gary. My friend, it's always great to have these conversations with you. And as always, everybody out there listening to this lovely Champion Blueprint podcast, we appreciate y'all all so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it, comment, anything that we can do if this has been of value to you. Because always, we are here to help you champion your mindset so that you can champion your purpose in life and in business. Until next time, we'll see you later, champs.